Alright, I wanted to make a video a little bit about using ChemDraw and specifically pointing out things that we need for this week's lab report. So I've opened ChemDraw, and then in addition I am showing the main toolbar, the general toolbar, the style toolbar, and the object toolbar. There are other things that you can practice showing. The main toolbar is probably the most important. That's where a lot of the functions are. Let's start with showing you the difference between different file settings. So under File, we have Document Settings, which you can click and see all the different document settings that can be adjusted. Instead, which you can do that, but we're going to be using some already created document settings, the ones from the ACS document 1996, but I will draw a few different drawings to show you what the difference is between those. So here we have a few drawings with different settings. The last one over here is the ACS document 1996 that we're going to be using. I chose this default setting when you first open the program. Everything's a little bit longer. The bonds are a little bit longer. The atom labels compared to the bond size are much smaller. This one's another group of settings that I've used in the past. The atoms are nice and big. The wedges and dashes are a little bit narrow, so it's harder to tell when something has stereochemistry. So this is the one for ACS document 1996, is chosen by the American Chemical Society, ACS. They publish a lot of journals, and so if you are going to publish a paper in one of their journals, they want all the drawings in their journal to look compatible with each other, even if they're written by different authors, so they have this settings to use. So we'll be using this group of settings. And again, that is under File, Apply Document Settings From. It's the one right at the top of the page, the ACS document 1996. If you have some drawings on the page, when you change the settings, it'll ask whether you want to modify or not modify the drawings that are already on the page. For now, we'll just leave that. Okay, so how did I make these drawings? There are some ways to make bonds. They're all over on the toolbar that I have over on the left side of my screen. There's a single bond that you could draw. There's a double or multiple bonds down here. If you go way down right above where the rings are, there's a zigzaggy chain. So if you choose that, you have a zigzaggy arrow. You could draw a big long chain all at once. You can make it face a different direction. You can have it face up or down. Then if you decide that you didn't want quite that many, you drew 7, you only wanted 6, you can just take the eraser. The eraser is over to the right side of the toolbar, the third one down. You could erase one of those carbons. You can erase any piece that you want, actually. You could erase the whole thing. And then if you decide that you erase too many carbons, you can go back with the single bond and you can draw it in. You got to decide where it's going to be. So I'm holding and dragging. It's not getting any longer, but it is changing the angle. Because the bond lengths are set. That is under objects. There are fixed lengths and fixed angles. Those are set so that you don't draw a bond that's too long while you're trying to position it. If you just, instead of clicking and dragging, if you just click on an atom somewhere, here I'm hovering over the arrow, it's highlighted, and I click, you will get a bond that is at 120 degrees. It'll set everything up with nice angles here. If you don't want that, you could either click and drag. If you want to make 2 methyl groups there, so you want to have them evenly spaced, you can do that. You can also select, instead of the whole drawing, so up here these top 2 are lassos, instead of selecting the whole drawing, I'll click somewhere else so nothing's selected. You can just select one atom and then you can move it and make it a different angle. You could also make it really far away if you want. So if you start moving all these things and you're like, okay, that looks weird now, then you can select the whole drawing. You could either use a round lasso or a square lasso. Usually when you click on one of the lassos, the last molecule you drew is highlighted, but you can click somewhere else to highlight a different molecule. Then under structure, there's something called cleanup structure. That will make everything look more normal, neater. The angles will be more uniform. So that's something that you can try on your structures if something happened to it and it looks bent or something. Then the way to add atoms is to click on text and then to try to get an atom to be selected, and then click on it, and then you can put either one atom or a group of atoms. You can click text anywhere on the page to put captions or names or any other word you want to put there. Let's say we wanted to have that. If you try to click on an atom and instead you click next to the atom, then this is not connected. If you can't tell if something's connected or not, what you could do is double click on an atom in the structure, and that will select the whole structure. And then if you move it, okay, the bromine was not connected. Another thing that's sometimes the default, I think I might have turned it off on mine, is this show chemical warnings. So if this is checked, the show chemical warnings in the view, then there's a little red box around this bromine atom saying, letting you know that there's a bromine hanging out somewhere. It does not have the correct number of bonds. Bromine should have one bond, and it's just letting you know that. So you know that there's a problem with your structure because of these red squiggly boxes. I'm going to show you something about regular text that you type on the page. There's a pretty cool thing up in the style menu. So the style menu, you can change the font of something if you want. You can change the size. Let's make this bigger. You can make it bold if you want, italicize, left justify, right justify. So a lot of things that you can do with the writing on here. This one over here that has like a small CH2 on the button, if you click on that, I mean, you could go through the text and select the 2 and make it a subscript, and select the 4 and make it a subscript. But a faster way is to have the whole thing selected and then click on that formula, and then anything that's written as a chemical formula will get the subscripts will become subscripts. If you have charges on there, those will become superscripts, so it will automatically detect and write formulas properly. So that is pretty handy as well. Let me see if I can I'm going to zoom in on the whole page on my general structure because I think I've been maybe a little bit small so far. So now we can see everything a little bit more zoomed in. So let's show you multiple bonds. So if you click on the multiple bonds over here, there's a double bond, there's 1.5 bond if you're trying to show an intermediate or something. There's a triple bond. Let's go ahead and select that. If you click on the atom that needs the triple bond started, it will put the triple bond and it will make it linear automatically. I mean, you could make it bent if you wanted to, but by clicking and dragging, but if you just click, it'll make it bent automatically. And then I'm going back to the single bond, I'm clicking, it will make it linear automatically. I click again, and now it's going back to being bent because now we have a tetrahedral carbon. If you want to make this a double bond, you could just click the bond. That will make it a double bond. If you click it again, it will make the double bond look different. If you want it to be more on the bottom, if you want it to be on the top. So that's one way that you can make a double bond. You can also click on this multiple bond and select double bond, and you can put a double bond somewhere. You can also just trace along a single bond, so hold and drag. So if you hold and drag it, it will make a double bond somewhere where you used to have a single bond. So there's lots of ways to introduce a double bond. Okay, a pretty cool feature that is definitely very useful coming up for all of us. Under Object, there is a choice called Show Stereochemistry. And then it will ask you if you already have some drawings, it will ask you if you want to modify the existing drawings or not. This time I did click to modify the existing drawings because I wanted it to show things on the drawings I already have here. And if you have Show Stereochemistry, then it will show for alkenes whether something is Z or E version of the alkene. This alkene over here is neither, so it does not put a notification on that one. Also for stereocenters, it will note if they are R or S. This is also a stereocenter here, but we did not give it a wedge or a dash, and so it is not being noted. So if something's not noted, it could be that it's not a stereocenter like these two methyl groups, or it could be that it's not specified. So let me go ahead and make this a wedge. I click the wedge over here, and then I'm going to click on the bond, making it a wedge. Now I've specified the stereochemistry, and now the stereochemistry is shown. So when you're double checking your answers, if you use ChemDraw, you can help to quiz yourself on stereochemistry, figure out whether you're on the right track for your answers on E and Z and R and S. Let's show another window over here. Under View, there's an analysis window that you can show. So you can show an analysis window. Right now it's doing an analysis of everything that is on the paper. So we have 32 carbons, 3 bromines, 54 hydrogens. This would be the mass of everything, the average mass, and also the exact mass. Some stuff that has to do with mass spectrometry, elemental analysis. So there's a lot of information here. Right now it's everything on the page. If you select just one structure, it will get more normal and just do the analysis of that one structure. Now we're back down to a more normal formula here. So that is something that you can have on the screen if you want to. So I'm going to go and draw the reaction scheme the way I have it on the sample lab report. If you'll notice, I selected the benzene ring down at the bottom of the toolbar. There's a benzene ring. I could just draw a benzene ring instead of drawing a cyclohexane and having to add double bonds to it. And I'm clicking on atoms to get some nice angles all spaced out there. If I click on an atom, I can change it to something else. If I write OH, then if it's on the left side of the molecule, it'll automatically change to look like HO, making the oxygen attached to the benzene ring because the hydrogen is not attached in that case. Then since when I hold and click and drag, I can change the angle of where the benzene ring is going. I want to make it look more like that one where it has the double bond off to the side. I can do that. If you just click on the page, it will just put a benzene ring somewhere. So since I've clicked and the last thing that I put was an OH, if I just double click this atom, it will add another OH. So if you're drawing a lot of the same thing, you could just keep clicking on atoms and it will change all of them to whatever you want. Okay, so we need an arrow here. The arrow is over here on the side, the right side of the toolbar. There's all different kinds of arrows, mechanism arrows, equilibrium, resonance structure arrows. I'm just going to choose a plain arrow. If I click, it just makes an arrow. I can also drag and make an arrow do anything else. So just put one like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and put some text on here. I'm going to go ahead and just leave a couple of spaces so that I'm going to have some of my text above the arrow and some below. I'll move this down a little bit more. And then I'll also do the formula to make the water have that subscript and have it be the formula. So far, it looks like my drawings are a little bit up and down. What I'm going to do is select all of these, and I'm going to use my object menu. So the object menu, you can group, you can move things to the front, move things to the back. What I want to do is align things. You can align things to the top if you wanted to. You could align things to the bottom. You could align things to the right, which that puts everything on top of each other. That doesn't seem like a good idea. I'm going to align everything top, bottom, center. So now everything's centered. Now when I drew this, the plus was kind of awkward and in the middle here. So I want to try to align everything horizontally, but these two objects are different objects. So if I line everything horizontally now that's no longer over the arrow. So I'm going to undo that. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to group these so that they move together as a group. So we have two items, text and arrow, and right now they're separate. If I click on this, this will be grouped. Now these are all one item. So they're going to be treated as a group. So now instead of 5 objects, I have 4, and I'm going to distribute them horizontally, and now they're all evenly spaced. And plus they're all top and bottom aligned, so that's looking a lot more neat for this drawing, so I'm just going to leave that. I wanted to put some arrows facing up and facing down, and I want them to be the same length. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and paste it, and then I'm going to go ahead and flip that object. So now I have two objects, two arrows, one pointing up and one pointing down. I'll put them over here. I can make sure that they're aligned left, right centers or right edges or something like that. So now they're nice and aligned. Also, I want to put some captions here. I can put a caption, and then I can make sure that this is left, right, center aligned there. Here we have salicylic acid. This one I'm just going to move myself here. I don't want my other ones to get too much out of alignment. Let's see, I'll align that. Okay. I'm going to align these so that they're bottom aligned. Okay, so we have everything nice and aligned for my... Oh, I shouldn't have done bottom aligned because one of them has a Y and one of them doesn't. Okay, I'm going to do top aligned. There we go. So we have everything nice and aligned over here. And then I wanted to show what was going to be crystals, what was going to be the filtrate. I think those are looking pretty good actually. And then I will copy and paste. The vanillin is in the crystals. The salicylic acid is in the filtrate. Actually, the filtrate has both. So I'm going to go ahead and put both instead. I have to make my screen a little smaller. There we go. So there's my purification scheme of vanillin. So then once I have this whole purification scheme selected, I can just copy. I can, either Apple C or Control C if I'm on a PC, and copy this whole structure. And then if I go into Microsoft Word and paste it, it will just paste the whole structure there, or the whole scheme there. That would also work for if you have the LibreOffice suite. The thing about the LibreOffice suite, pasting something like this would work because what it does is it puts the structure that you're pasting, it sets it to the width of the page. So since we're taking up the entire width of the page, then that would work really well. If you paste it into Microsoft Word, it is just set to the sizes that everything that you paste into Microsoft Word is going to be coordinated as far as its size. It's going to size the right way. So that's an advantage to Microsoft Word. For the LibreOffice, if you have something that goes across the whole page, it'll look good. If you have just one small drawing over here, like you've just drawn propene, and you take this and you try to paste it into LibreOffice, that will be the whole entire width of the page. You'll have a huge molecule across the whole page. So what I've done in the past when I've used LibreOffice is saying, okay, if I wanted to paste this one drawing, what I do is I kind of put, if I want it in the center of the page on the LibreOffice, I put it over there, and then I put something small, like maybe a little lone pear over here and over here, and then I select this whole thing and paste it. And then that'll put my propene in the middle of the page. Then I'll have a little bit of dot here or there. That's a little trick for that. If you wanted to use Google Docs, what we found is that just doing Control C and copying this and putting it into Google Docs doesn't work. It doesn't know what this drawing is. What you have to do is, instead of doing Control C, you have to go to Copy over here and go to Copy As. So you go to Copy As, and then you select PNG. And then if you do that, then it will paste into a Google Doc. That's what we have found. So if you're using something other than Microsoft Word, you might have to give that a try. So this is chromatography tools. If you click it, you can draw a chromatography TLC plate. You can also do a gel electrophoresis plate if you want a drawing of that. We want a TLC plate. And when I click on the page, it asks me how many lanes do I want to have in the TLC plate. Did I do a 4-lane TLC plate? 3? I'm going to go ahead and select 2, and we'll insert that. And then it gives you a plate. Let's see if we can move this down. You can so you can make the plate a little smaller. You can make the plate a little wider if you want, I think. Okay. So I selected the side, I made it a little wider. You could select the top and make it a little smaller. You could select the solvent front. If you didn't run it all the way up the plate, you can make the solvent front. If you started higher up on the plate, you could do that. So it starts with these default values. All right, I selected this lane and I right-clicked on there, and then if we wanted to add a lane or delete a lane or duplicate a lane, you could draw a TLC plate, make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to go ahead and delete this lane because we wanted just a 2-lane plate. You can just click on the dot. Right now I'm on the lasso, so I think if you were on bonds or text, you would be starting to get other drawings all over the place. But since I'm on the lasso, it's working pretty well. You can move a dot up. As you move it up, it tells you what the RF is. So if you want to make a drawing of a plate that had an RF of 40.43 for one spot, you could do that. Maybe 0.24 for the other spot, you could do that. You could select a lane and then right click to add a spot. So now I have 2 spots on the lane. So maybe we want this one to be 43 to match the other one. This one's a little bit lower. What's this one? 0.23. Okay, so we have different spots. So instead of clicking the lane, I've clicked the spot, and now I've right clicked to if you want to show the RF on the TLC plate, you can. That might get a little crowded, but you could. I guess you could set the RF. If you're having trouble moving it up and down, you could just say, I want this to be 0.44 and change, and then it moved slightly. You can also change how the spot looks. You can make it a little bit bigger by saying bold. So there's a bold spot. Let's make this spot different. This could be dashed. So if you want to show that there was a very faint spot over there. Here's something that's not filled. So instead of filled, I unchecked filled, so it's not filled. Now it is filled. So if you want to just have a small outline. One thing I'm disappointed that you can't do is make a spot elongated, because that's pretty normal for a spot to be a little bit less than round. So if you wanted to, you could choose a shape. Here's some shapes over here. You can choose a circle or an ellipse. How about like an oval over here? You can choose a dark oval. I guess you could make it a different color if you wanted to. And you can make more of a longer looking TLC spot. Sometimes you get a TLC spot that looks like that. And then if you wanted to change the color of that one, you could change the color of that one too. You could have it be blue. And then you could go and make your spot look like that instead, if that's what you wanted your TLC plate to look like. So just be careful, because if you move the TLC plate, this spot is not part of the TLC plate unless you group the objects. You have to select the whole thing and then group those objects, and now that spot will be part of the TLC plate. It will move with it. You can number the lanes. You would just have to add text. So we got 1, 2. Now we just move those onto the plate. So we're just putting things onto the plate. There we go. We have a TLC plate with lanes 1 and 2. So that's pretty helpful to be able to add to your lab report, drawing a TLC plate.